It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day, and I am at the Los Flores Towers in Coronado, California, right on the ocean, to do maintenance on an installation that we put in a few years ago. Due to circumstances beyond my control, Corona, not that I had it, but just due to all of the issues surrounding that, we haven't been here for over a year. And where the bones are still good in this installation, there's some really, really fun and important teaching elements that we can go over. I have Terry here, and she is pulling out the crassulas. Now, these crassula ovatas are just getting a little too tall and too high, as is this Argentea sunset. See how it's just sort of, it's starting to really take over the installation and not in a good way. So because these plants are so easy to manipulate, really the skin is so soft on these that you can run a clipper through it so easily. It's just the easiest thing in the world. So it's not a big deal to take these out, cut them up, and reset them. And so that's what we're going to do. Now, this...
Good to see you.
Oh, it's great to be here. So microclimatically, this side it gets the majority of the sun, and that is why we did the crassulas over here. And we've got this absolutely gorgeous blue glow, which is starting to outgrow its spot a little bit. That's another thing that we may need to address. That may need to be moved over a little bit. Hannah's like, meh. Maybe, maybe not, we'll see, but it's an option. Over here is where the clippers are really gonna come into play. This receives quite a bit of shade. I mean, this is the most beautiful stand of Kalanchoe lucei I think I have ever seen. This started off as one plant, and look at all of the babies. But yes, run-a-mucky, run-a-mucky, run-a-mucky. Now, this is what a Kalanchoe lucei looks like when it blooms out. See that terminal end coming right out of the middle of the plant? So once this is done blooming, this mother plant will die. But as you can see clearly, she has thrown out a lot of pups, so I'm not worried about it. I chose the Aloe grenadiensis because I wanted plants that had a lot of visual weight and strength, especially against the softness of all of this round rock and the round pebble. But they have gotten too tall. You know, once again, this is out of kilter now, so it's going to be really easy to just cut those up and reset them. The beauty of grenadiensis is it does do quite well in semi-shady locations. This Aeonium kiwi also, despite a lot of shade, has done really well. The cotyledon I am no longer happy with. This looks really, really scrubby to me. And I think what I'm going to do is cut it down probably hard to the ground. I'm not going to remove it, but I'm going to literally plant some things over top of it. You know, interestingly enough, all of these Sedum Adolphae are maintaining and retaining their color over here. And look at all of the new growth down here at the bottom of these stems. So these will get dug out, cut up, and reset. They're way too leggy. This used to be a really pretty little tapestry right here that's kind of, you know, it's lost its luster. So I'm going to replant, use cuttings, and also bring in some of the stuff that I brought with me from home to recreate the tapestry. There used to be a Mediopicta alba here as our statement plant, but it got snout weevil and croaked. So I put in a absolutely gorgeous Myrtillo cactus, which is thriving, but it's really dwarfed right now by this grenadiensis. So this is where I'm gonna make some changes. I'm gonna take this Petalanthus macrocarpus, and I'm gonna put it up here on top, bust up this grenadiensis, and just move it around for parts. That euphorbia over there, that's another plant that's lost, and I'm gonna find a new home for it. Then as we move around, this is where it gets really tricky because this is very, very deep shade. You can see that the Tradescantia is extremely happy here, and we will be cutting that back because it is coming into its growing season. We have a little Agave quadricolor here that's surprisingly happy despite the shade, but we're also going to want to move in some other cuttings just to, you know, kind of fill this area out a little bit. I was smart in that I did a lot of rock work in this installation. I brought in a lot of chunky rock, I brought in a lot of boulder, I did a lot of mounding. So the rock is a really, really important part of this design. The whole idea was to have kind of an undersea look. So the plants are really quite secondary. So that will make it easier to manipulate this garden. As far as these palm trees, I did not plant these. These were here, and the Las Flores Association voted to keep them. As you can see, they are getting a little too big, but that is not my problem. So I will not be addressing that today. Let's tear in. Okay, another one in the books in Coronado. You can see where I took down this stand of Granadiensis, cut it all up, and just reset 3 pieces in this spot. It looks so finished. I also tightened up the Kalanchoe. I cut and reset some ones that were too tall and that were hanging over the edge. And Hannah was able to pull some of them in up topside after she recut and reset the Kiwi Aeoniums. Terry did a beautiful job of creating a tapestry here where one did not exist, just with cuttings from this installation. We completely tore into the Tradescantia on each side. It took off about 3/4 of it. We moved the Petalanthus macrocarpa from here to there, took out the Granadiensis, and I'm taking that home to repurpose elsewhere. Over here, I found these little aloes buried underneath another stand of plants, so I tucked those there. I tucked a few crassula back here in the shady corner. We added some more black pebble, and then I took some burgundy lava and I just ran a ribbon of it through here, and then I picked it up back over here and I ran it all the way down to the end, and it just looks amazing. I'm so happy with this. This is being hand watered by the association. It's on subterranean drip, but it was getting too wet. So I told them about once a month, give it a little rinse. All should be well. Over here, we took out a lot of crassula that had gotten too big. I found these upstairs, and with the association's blessing, planted them here amongst the crassula. I'd love to pull in some more plants next time I come to supplement these ovatas. This Terry scaled back dramatically, this crassula, and now the beautiful barrel cactus is just a showpiece here. Interestingly enough, this agave bracteosa, which is one of the few agaves that really thrives in the shade, is, I mean, technically thriving. It's doing fine. But it hasn't really done much. I mean, it's just kind of sat here for the last year or so. But it looks good. It's happy. Next time I come, we're going to need to deal with this. The Blue Glow has blue glowed itself right out of its space. And this stand of crassula is also, you know, a little on the big side. So these will be tackled next time. I'd like to call it job security. So for Hannah and Terry and I in Coronado, this has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.